Imagine a civilization that builds the pyramids and then just goes silent for centuries.
Utterly silent. For hundreds of years, the magnificent history of the pharaohs, all their wars, their beliefs, their daily lives, was completely locked away.
You could see these incredible monuments covered in these little pictures of birds and eyes,
Yeah.
but nobody could read them.
Exactly. And scholars weren't even sure if it was a real language. They thought, maybe they're just magic symbols, not a system with actual grammar.
A total secret, hidden in plain sight.
Well, today we're going to look at the one single object that finally gave the world the key.
Okay, let's unpack the story of the Rosetta Stone. It's exactly the kind of unexpected clue that just changes history forever. So the moment of discovery. This isn't some quiet scene with archaeologists carefully brushing away sand.
No, not at all. This is 1799, right in the middle of Napoleon's military campaign in Egypt.
And Napoleon, he didn't just bring an army, he brought scientists, right?
Here, hundreds of them. An entire intellectual corps to study and document everything. But the funny thing is, the stone wasn't found by any of them.
That's the twist. It was found by French soldiers.
A man named Pierre-François Bouchard, specifically. His unit was building a fort near a town called Rosetta.
Right, in the Nile Delta. And they were just, tearing down an old wall.
Exactly. They needed building materials, and they found this massive slab of rock sticking out.
I mean, how big are we talking?
It was huge. A heavy piece of dark granodiorite weighing about 1,680 pounds.
Wow.
And even to a soldier, it was obvious this was something special. It was just covered in all this strange writing in 3 different styles.
But the story gets even more complicated. The French don't get to keep it.
No. The British defeat Napoleon's army, and one of the terms of surrender was that the French had to hand over all the historical artifacts they had collected.
So the stone gets taken by the British.
It does, and that's how it ends up in the British Museum in London, where it is today. It's one of the most famous objects in the world.
And it's not even a complete piece, is it?
No, if you look at it, it's about 44 inches tall, but the top corners and parts of the sides are broken off.
You can almost feel the history just by looking at it. I've read you can still see faint marks where scholars took ink impressions of the text long before photos.
They were just desperate to get their hands on copies of this text. It was the biggest puzzle of the age.
So why this stone? What made this one broken slab of rock the key to everything?
Well, it was the fact that it contained the same message written in the 3 different scripts. It was basically a giant translation dictionary.
Okay, so let's break that down. What's at the top?
At the top, you have the classic hieroglyphs, the very formal, ancient symbols that you see carved on temple walls, used for, really important religious documents.
Got it. In the middle section.
That's a script called Demotic. Think of it as a kind of everyday cursive. It was the common, faster way of writing used for government records and letters.
Okay, so formal and then everyday. And the bottom.
And this is the crucial part. The bottom section was written in ancient Greek.
Which scholars in Europe already knew how to read.
Perfectly. So they could use the Greek as a key, they could compare words and patterns across all 3 languages and start to piece it together.
So if this stone is the key to unlocking the pharaohs, the message must be something incredible, right? Like a battle epic or a map to a hidden tomb?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But the content is, well, it's almost an anticlimax.
What does it say?
It's a decree from a group of priests in the city of Memphis back in 1996 BC.
A decree about what?
It's basically an announcement about how great the young king, Ptolemy V, was.
You're kidding.
Not at all. It lists all the good things he'd done, tax breaks, gifts to the temples, that kind of thing. It's really just a piece of public relations.
So all of this historical weight, this key to an entire civilization, rests on a giant public flyer about tax breaks.
It sounds funny, but that's precisely why it exists. The priests wanted to make sure everyone could read about the king's generosity.
From the Greek-speaking rulers.
To the ordinary Egyptian citizens who used Demotic, and of course the priests who used the formal hieroglyphs.
So it was a massive, multilingual public service announcement placed inside a temple so everyone would see it.
Exactly.
Okay, so the stone provides the key. But it sat in the British Museum for 20 years and no one could crack it.
It was an incredibly difficult puzzle, and there was this intense rivalry going on, mainly between scholars in England and France.
So who is the main guy on the British side?
That was Thomas Young, a brilliant mind doctor, a physicist, a real genius, and he made some serious progress.
Like what?
He was the first to realize that those oval shapes you see, the cartouches, probably contain the names of royalty.
Ah, okay. That's a huge clue.
It was, but the person who finally put it all together was a Frenchman, Jean-François Champollion.
And this guy was different.
Completely. He was born in 1790 and was obsessed with ancient languages from childhood. I mean, by the time he was a teenager, he already knew several Middle Eastern languages.
And he had a core belief that set him apart from young.
He did. Champollion was convinced that the key to understanding the hieroglyphs was through the Coptic language.
Coptic. Why was that so important?
Coptic was the language used by Egyptian Christians. It was written with Greek letters, mostly, but it kept a lot of the vocabulary and sounds of the ancient Egyptian language.
So he thought it was a living link to the past.
A direct linguistic bridge. He figured if he could understand Coptic, he could figure out the sounds of the old hieroglyphic symbols, not just guess at what the pictures meant.
And he just spent years on this, right? Even when he was broke and sick.
Absolutely driven. His goal was to be the one to read the names of the pharaohs. And that French-English rivalry, that just pushed him even harder.
Okay, so this is it. The code-cracking moment. And it all comes down to that physical clue you mentioned, the cartouche.
The cartouche, yes. That oval rope shape that goes around a cluster of hieroglyphs. Young had guessed it marked a royal name, which was correct. It was like a label.
And on the Rosetta Stone, they knew the cartouche had to be the name Ptolemy, because the Greek texts said so.
Right. But for decades, no one knew if the symbols for Ptolemy represented the sounds Ptolmy or if they just stood for the idea of a king named Ptolemy.
A picture versus a letter.
Precisely. And Champollion realized he couldn't solve it with just one name. He needed more data.
So where does he get a second name?
From an inscription on an obelisk. It had two cartouches. One was clearly Ptolemy again. The other one, he guessed, had to be Cleopatra.
Because the Greek text on that obelisk also mentioned her name.
Exactly. So now he has two names to compare, Ptolemy and Cleopatra.
That's brilliant. He can look for the shared letters.
And that's what he did. He saw that the symbols for P, O, and L appeared in both names in the right places.
So he could confirm their sounds.
And crucially, the symbol for L was a picture of a lion. This proved the lion didn't mean lion or strength. It was just being used for the sound of L.
That is the aha moment that changes everything.
It's the key that unlocks the entire system. But the final proof came in September 1822.
What happened?
He got some new copies of inscriptions from much older temples. He saw a cartouche with names he didn't recognize. Using his new phonetic alphabet, he sounded it out.
And what did he read?
Ramses, Ramesses.
The Great Pharaoh. Ramesses.
He was reading the name of one of the oldest and most powerful pharaohs in history. This proved his system worked not just for the Greek-era rulers, but for the ancient Egyptians themselves.
So he realized the whole thing was a mix. It wasn't just sounds, it wasn't just pictures.
It was a sophisticated combination of both. He reportedly ran to his brother's office, shouted, "I have it!" and then just collapsed from sheer exhaustion. And what Champollion revealed was this incredibly complex writing system. It's why it took so long to crack. Hieroglyphs basically operate on 3 different levels at the same time.
3 levels. Okay, walk us through that.
So first you have the phonetic signs he discovered, pictures used only for their sound. A picture of a duck, for instance, might just represent the sound sow.
Got it. A picture for a sound. What's the second level?
Second, you have logograms. That's when the picture does stand for the whole word. A picture of a sun actually means sun.
Okay, so sometimes it's a sound, sometimes it's the thing itself. That's already confusing.
And then there's the third level, which is maybe the trickiest, determinatives.
Determinatives.
These are silent symbols placed at the end of a word just to clarify its meaning. So say you have a word that sounds like it could mean a few different things. You'd add a little picture of a man at the end to show it refers to a person or a profession.
Wow. So an ancient scribe had to learn thousands of signs and all 3 of their functions.
Yes, it took many years of study. What Champollion did was figure out all those rules and create a complete dictionary. And that was the birth of modern Egyptology.
Because once the code was cracked, the entire library of Egypt was suddenly open.
Everything. Archaeologists could finally read the inscriptions in the Valley of the Kings. We learned about medical recipes, poems, contracts.
We learned about the lives of ordinary people, not just the pharaohs.
And for the first time, the ancient Egyptians could tell their own story. And it revealed a civilization that was much older and way more complex than anyone had ever imagined.
And it all goes back to that one broken stone and the one person obsessed enough to figure it out. It's incredible how the term Rosetta Stone is still part of our language today. We use it to describe any key that helps you solve a difficult problem. There's even language learning software named after it.
It's a powerful story, and it really is a great lesson in how science works. You had the British scholar, Thomas Young, who made the first key steps.
But it was Champollion's unique approach, his belief in the Coptic language, that let him cross the finish line.
It shows the power of persistence, of looking at a problem from a slightly different angle than everyone else.
And it proves that sometimes the biggest secrets are solved just by finding a common language between something you know and something you don't.
In the end, the stone remains this profound symbol of connection. It's a bridge that ties our modern world directly to the voices of a very, very distant past.
We hope this helped you crack the code of history and understand the world of the pharaohs a little better.
Don't stop digging.